I'm going to bring you guys my top 3 favorites, and then I'll tell you guys who I think will actually win. So I'm going to start off in the NL. My top 3 favorite NL MVPs are as follows. Tatis with the Padres. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. He will miss a big chunk of the season early on just due to injury and recovery. I do think, though, with his bat, his glove, his speed, and what he brings to that team, I think makes him an NL MVP. And also, he makes that team better. When he's not in that lineup, that team just can't seem to find its groove. Yes, they have Machado. They have a couple other guys in there as well, but you can tell that Tatis is that guy that brings that energy and that fun. Following that, in no particular order, in fact, I have Juan Soto from the Nationals, also as an MVP favorite in the NL. Now, Washington is a pretty underwhelming team. Juan Soto has been tearing up the league since he's been in 2017. His stats show it. His homers show it. His base percentage, what he does on the defensive side of the ball as well. It's really hard to ignore him, especially if he can find a way to, maybe get the Nationals to sneak into a wild card team. Every year in baseball, whether it's NL or AL, there's always a team that is projected really low, but ends up finishing really high. And I'm not saying that the Nationals are in that ballpark, but I would not be surprised if Soto is the reason why the Nationals basically overachieve what the expectations are. And that's why I have him as one of my candidates for MVP in the NL. And my third top favorite would be Arenado with the Cardinals. Now, he just signed there last offseason. Big addition by them. He was a great bat for the Rockies when he was with them. Really great at third base as well. I think he's really not recognized enough for what he does defensively. But he, in my opinion, with how the Cardinals always have a pretty steady rotation for pitching, and they always usually have some really good bats in their lineup. But Arenado is just one of those guys that elevates this lineup, in my opinion. And especially what he does, like I mentioned, defensively, playing third base. I mean, third base by itself is just extremely hard to play. And obviously, Arenado is a multi-winning Gold Glove winner with what he does on the defensive front of that. And with what the Cardinals are trying to do in making a push into the playoffs, I think Arenado's bat and his defense is going to play into this, very similar to Soto. And I think he is going to be one of my NL favorites in this division to win. But ultimately, though, I do have as my overall NL MVP going to Juan Soto. Now, just to read a couple of stats for you guys regarding Juan Soto. In this past season, in 2021, he played in 151 games. He saw 102 at-bats. He hit 29 home runs. He drove in 95 runs, and then he also walked 145 times. So he got on base a lot, and he averaged 313 that year in batting average. He had an OPS of 465, slugging percentage of 534. And in his career, he's a 300 hitter. He's on base percentage is above 400, and his slugging percentage is 550 on average. And he's been in the league for about 5 to 6 seasons already. And each time he's progressed. And in my opinion, Juan Soto, like I mentioned, could be one of those players that with him defensively, because him at left or right field has a 98 to 99 fielding percentage, which means that he does not let errors get past him very often. He plays that side, that outfield very, very well, depending on if it's left or right. It's hard to ignore. And even though, yes, the Nationals probably won't make the playoffs, you just can't ignore the impact offensively and defensively Juan Soto will probably produce for the Nationals. And that's why I've got him as my NL favorite for MVP. And that's a super early prediction. I'm sure Drew has something completely different. Honestly, what was tough is you look at everybody that, let's say the Dodgers have signed and have on the team. They've got so much talent, you almost can't pick anybody from that team. And I didn't want to seem biased with being a Giants fan and pick a Giant just because, I'm a homer, but I got to be realistic. But Juan Soto, to me, what he is doing offensively year after year, defensively, what he does, yes, the Nationals will probably underachieve, but again, though, like I had mentioned, there's at least one or two teams that always surprise us in the new season where, they're projected again to maybe not even be a playoff team, barely competitive. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, the lineup, the bullpen, the rotation all clicks for some odd reason in the season to where they catch some season magic and they end up making a playoff or a wild card push. So, and that's why I've got Juan Soto.